So the faithful have come along tonight. We haven't had many nights here at the Adelaide Oval where we've had fans screaming and yelling, and Port Adelaide are into their first preliminary final since 2014. First there.
What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be reviewing the qualifying final between Port Adelaide and Geelong that happened Thursday night. A 16-point win to Port Adelaide in what was a very intense, a very fierce and a very hard-fought contest by both teams across the night. But I tell you what, we're playing in a prelim, baby. Port Adelaide won by 16 points. I'm over the moon. I've watched the match highlights like 25 times before even doing this review. I just can't get over the fact that we're playing in a prelim final, and I'm so damn excited. One step closer to playing in the big dance, and we did it very, very well last night against the Cats. So let's get straight into this review of Port Adelaide versus Geelong for the first qualifying final. Well, it was a fierce contest across the night, and you could feel it right from the start, right from the first bounce. And you know, we had to be on in the midfield, and that early clearance by Geelong to get it straight to Hawkins in the first 20 seconds. Well, you thought maybe, maybe we're not on here, but they did kick the first in the end, Geelong. But I tell you what, it was just a different type of Port Adelaide. It was a finals Port Adelaide. We just kept hunting in numbers, and we were able to manipulate Geelong in a way where we were able to play on our terms. But they were able to get out the back, and they were able to attack the ball a little bit more. But overall, Port Adelaide's contested work was slack in the first half. I won't lie, we were getting beaten pretty soundly, in both inside 50s and in contested ball, and that was due to the midfield not quite stepping up. One of the few was Tom Rockcliffe, who played a pretty damn good game across the night. Not bad for a first final for the Pigs. So it was just, yeah, it was finals Port Adelaide. You know, it was Geelong were definitely right there in the hunt, and if they didn't take their opportunities, then then Port Adelaide were going to be in the worst position. But we kept fighting hard, and we were able to hit the scoreboard. Motlop's great start onto the ground, and then quickly replying again with Charlie Dixon getting the goal. It was then I was starting to think, we're here, we're ready to play, we're going to hunt this contest, and just a right whole night through, we were just hunting Geelong. And yes, maybe we weren't quite as slick as what we probably could have been early on, and our defensive unit was under pressure, especially throughout that second quarter, where Geelong just kept putting the ball in and kept, they had enormous amounts of set shots, and Tom Hawkins was starting to get loose a little bit on Mackenzie, who did, in my opinion, a pretty good job. I won't give him full praise for it, because Hawkins did kick 5 behinds and kick 1 out in the full, so he doesn't get a big tick for me in that sense, but he still did a wonderful job. And when you read the paper, you're going to read that Hawkins isn't in the goal kickers list, so there's nothing untoward about that. Mackenzie did a good job, and I think the likes of Tom Jonas and Cleary were really, really good. Jonas in particular, his whole four-quarter performance was sensational. That's why he's wearing the number 1 Guernsey, Port fans. That's why he has that on his back, because he's a captain, he's a leader. He leads by playing his roles with the best of his ability. And he's just, yeah, he's a hard, tough unit. And you wouldn't want anyone else leading your side at the moment. And I feel like, Geelong have a bigger body presence. They were quite fierce around the contest, and that's why they were leading the contested ball, and that's why the first half was so even, because Geelong were able to, and they started to wrestle the momentum back. And when that started to happen, I thought, we're not going to hold here, that eventually the damn wall's going to break. But it didn't. It wasn't like that round 12 game where we got smashed by 10 goals. Somehow we just kept going inside 50 when we did, and when we did, we were able to hit the scoreboard. And that goal by Ebert on the siren at half-time completely changed the way I was looking at the game. It was so different. It got the crowd involved, and the crowd the whole night was just sensational. But I'll get to that in a minute. It was able to flick the switch for Port. And you got to that third quarter, and that's it. That's where the game was. You know, the hardness of our boys was sensational. And looking at the game, Ken Hinkley did coach very well. I felt like he was one that was making the moves that were necessary. The midfield matchups were actually really good. Boak on Selwood, Wines on Dangerfield at some stage when he went in there, but Wines and Rockcliffe were able to go to their best. That's why they had over 20 possessions, because Wines and Rockcliffe were a bit looser than what Boak was, and putting Selwood on him probably was a good choice by Chris Scott, but Boak's influence was still good and was still there, but there was one bloke that wasn't playing in the midfield. Unbelievable performance was Stephen Motlop. People were doubting why we kept selecting him. I'll tell you now, everyone that doubts Stevie Motlop, that's the reason why you keep him in the side. He does these things. He doesn't have to have a massive possession game. He doesn't have to have so many attacks at the 50 and going inside 50 and attacking the opposition, pressure acts and all that. He does that. Probably a little bit better he could do it. But besides the point, when he hits the scoreboard like he did, that's why you keep him in the side. He was phenomenal, and that's the reason we got across the line, because we were able to have a small forward stand up. And Stevie Motlop, take a bow, mate, because that was great to watch. A few players as well that did stand up. Brad Ebert was sensational. He did kick that goal in the second quarter on the siren, and then the same again very late in the third quarter, which got us to 20 points up. I thought Marshall wasn't great, but it's not about how he played. It's about how he presented himself, and he was a tough unit last night. The way he injured his shoulder, and 9 times out of 10, that's going to put you out of the game. But in a final, Todd Marshall said, nah, stuff this. I'm getting out there. I'm going to support the boys. I'm going to help out wherever I can. And he did. He was sensational. His contested work was good in the air. He couldn't lift his arm, and he still got there. And then that last goal he kicked to seal the game. That was a special moment. And I was screaming, Toddy, take your moment. And you'll see it in the vlog when it comes out. Toddy, take your moment. And he did. He kicked it straight through the middle, and it was sensational to see. Zach Butters was another one I thought was... Well, his first half was quite shit. I won't lie. He had 2 possessions, had hardly any impact on the game. Came out in the second half and thought, stuff this. I'm throwing my little pinball body into the contest. And he caused that great goal in the last quarter, where Laddams ended up kicking the snap. And he was contested in the air sensationally. But the greatest thing about Butters is he just throws himself in there, and he's a tough unit, and that's what got us across the line. And one other thing was Xavier Dersman, the courageous act of going back with the flight and taking a mark. Well, it should have been his mark, let's be honest. That was a 50-50 contest, and you pay the man in front, and Dersman ended up with a footy. I'm not going to lie. That's no biasness there. That's the straight rule, straight fact. And Xavier Dersman, that's take a bow, mate. His hard stuff, his tackling all night was brilliant. And it's one of the reasons why Port Adelaide were winners. You could wrap things up here, I reckon, because we all saw how good of a performance it was. We all saw that we stood up when we needed to. And again, it's just about that momentum flick that we have. When the teams are going against us, quite control the game as well as we liked, to end up flicking the switch in that third quarter, setting up the game, and keeping our defensive unit tight. Our midfield stood up in that second half. It was so impressive to see, and it's great to prove the doubters wrong. There was a few people messaging me saying, get ready for straight sets. Get ready for being disappointed. And you know what? That was in the back of my mind. And I'm sure everyone had it. But to come out in a qualifying final in front of one of the biggest TV audiences of the year for the AFL and dominate a team that's had the wood on us for so many years, that's why waking up the next day was so much sweeter. That's why this was so important to us Port fans. And that's why we're celebrating the way that we are. You celebrate a final. We've got a week off. We've got 2 more weeks into a prelim final. At home, in front of the faithful, who, by the way, were absolutely sensational. That's the loudest 26,000 crowd I've ever heard in my life. Take a bow, Port fans. This one was for the club, for the players, for the support staff. This is for us. And I'm so damn proud of this football club, and I'm so damn proud of this team, the way they've gone out and just believed in everything that's been said. They've believed in their own ability, and they're playing with full of confidence, and they back each other. This is a team that's primed for something this year. Whether or not we take full advantage of it is something to be seen. But this is unfinished business, as Tom Jonas said after the game in his post-game interview. Unfinished business. There's 2 to go, Port fans. And how bloody good. Thank you so much for watching this qualifying final review between Port Adelaide and Geelong. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this one. It was bloody sweet, wasn't it? And I'm so happy that we got the job done. I'm so glad that we can have a week off, get rested, and get ready for a home prelim. We don't have to travel anywhere. We're at home. So I look forward to seeing who we play in 2 weeks' time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all the support over the last couple of weeks. It's been absolutely amazing. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content. My name is Anthony, and as always, come the pair!